Hey everyone, it's Joe from Gadgetry Tech, and today I'm going to talk about a unique take on TWS earbuds. These are the GPods from HHOGene. They are very interesting, as you can tell. There's RGB, there's customizable shells to make it look different. So I'm going to get into a few of these things. I'm not going to review this as like an audiophile level product like I do on a lot of my other audio reviews. This is an audio product, but they definitely catered and designed this more towards the lighting and customization side. So I'm going to treat the review as such, but I will talk about sound quality and what I think. Now, I was originally planning on releasing this review over a week ago. If you saw my community post, I had my daughter was really sick. I had some family things going on, so I prioritized family over content. So I'm sorry for not kicking anything out in the last, 10, 11 days. But thank you so much for waiting and the support. Sorry to HHOGene because you guys were scheduled next. So my sincere apologies for kind of releasing it a bit later than I told you I would. With that being said, this was sent to me for review by them. It will not change what I say about the product or skew the review in any way, but I do want to thank them for sending this because without that, I wouldn't have been covering them. So let's get into the basics. There are two versions of this. Again, this is called the GPods. They retail for about 140 bucks. For this little kit, the smaller box, if you will. And it's available in black or white. Otherwise, they customize and sound the same way. Now, they also have these premium kits. Now, this kit is $170, and it comes with 4 shells, and not something you usually hear with earbuds or audio products. What do you mean by shells? Well, these cool little tubes, and the shells almost look like fingernails. There are tons of different designs online. Now this kit comes with kind of like predetermined ones, so I'm not sure how well this will be taken. And when you look at retail price, this is a much better deal. However, you want to make sure that you're getting shells that you actually like. The skull one's pretty cool. I'm not big into like tiger stripes for me as like a fashion statement, if you will. So not so much my thing, but there are a lot of other ones online that I thought were cool. They had some Christmas ones for Christmas time, and they release them like new ones as time goes on. So what is cool is how easy it is to switch. Now, like I said, I've been using these for a while. I put a skull shell on one of them, and you can see it on the close-up. Normally, I take a lot more time doing more B-rolls and really cool close-ups and stuff like that. It was either get this review done with a few days to spare before the new year, or shoot more B-roll and delay things a little bit. But I want to start with some basics. So these guys are rated for a 5-hour battery life if you have the active noise cancellation off and the lighting off. So with that being said, yes, these do have noise cancellation. If you turn off both noise cancellation and the lighting, you get the 5 hours. If both ANC and the custom lighting are on, it drops to about 3 hours. And then if you pick one such as just ANC or just lighting, you get about 4. The case gives you another 20 hours of battery life, so and it quick charges, which is really cool. So a 10-minute USB-C charge on this, which comes with this nice short little cable, will give you about 2 more hours of listening. What I do want to say before I get into the customization is the comfort is actually really, really good. They're surprisingly light considering it has RGB, and the way they stick out, I was nervous they wouldn't have a secure fit. They stayed in my ear really well. I whipped my head around. I was running with them. I tried a few different things to get them to fall out. And it's very versatile with different tips. So even though this wasn't the tip I usually use, I usually use the mediums, they still stayed very snug, and it didn't affect the sound quality too much. But again, the comfort is a big thing. Now, because of the shape, if you're a side sleeper and you wear earbuds, some people do this, or you wear a beanie, these do stick out a little bit, so they're not the best for side sleepers or if you're wearing an over-ear hat, so just keep that in mind. Now, HHOGene rates this with IPX4, which means they are basically splash-proof. So if you are running or a mist of water happens, if it's raining out, something like that, they are rated for sweat and rain, basically. Not submersion, not spraying with a jet or anything like that, but for normal light everyday use, they'll work just fine. And these also use Bluetooth 5.2. So I mentioned customization, and this is where the GPods are basically intended to shine, both literally and figuratively. They have RGB lighting. Now there are 6 zones per earbud, and you can customize each individual zone. The app is actually pretty amazing. Honestly, it's a beautiful app, and naturally I picked Jellyfish because I see the pinks and blues, and if you can't tell behind me, I typically like that theme. Now, if I go to more colors, you can see that there are tons of themes to choose from. So going with something a bit different, this one says enthusiastic. It looks like fire, and it's previewing it both on the app and it's showing it on the earbud itself. So if I hit apply, now I've customized and saved it to the earbud, and if I hit light, I can switch it to bright, and it's going to fully illuminate my earbud based off that theme. So again, just showing you how quick it is. Let's go to Galaxy. It previews it in real time, and if I like what I see with that color scheme, I can leave it as is, or if I customize or make other changes more specific to what I like, I could then hit apply and save it. So there are a lot of themes that change, and you can also preview it, of course, with the little cap or not. I do want to show you one thing though. So this little paintbrush in the top right corner, if I click that, I can choose, this is where I can design things. So you can see color palette, and it's showing each individual zone. I can hit random and have it design some zones for me. And let's see, let's just go through a couple. Now this is kind of showcasing quite a few different color options. I want to pick something that looks a little different. Let's just give this one a shot just so I don't spend too much time on this. I'll hit apply. And now my GPods follow that light scheme, and it says this is your customized color. So let's go back to Jellyfish, and then you can see them lighting up that way. Another cool thing is you can actually make custom colors and skins, if you will, based off a picture that you have. Now you're not going to take a picture of this mat, for example. This mat's gray. That's not going to do anything. You want to take a picture of something that pops, something with a lot of light. So I took a picture of my Nanoleaf design behind me with the little triangles. So if I hit color photo and I pick from my little Nanoleaf picture that I took, you can kind of zoom in and drag and choose what you like. This is basically a snapshot of one time at the Nanoleaf. I'll hit preview. Now it's scanning it. This is your photo story, and check it out. Now my GPods are colorized based off of photo. So there's a lot you can do with customizing and making it unique. This is more designed to be, I guess, partly a fashion statement, but possible, or also a way for you to express yourself if you like it, or if you're just a geek that likes lights. I tend to like lights, if you can't tell. So that's kind of a cool way of doing something different on your ears. I want to kind of call out the fact that they're doing something a little bit different and more innovative for earbuds. You know, so whether that's important to you or not, or if you prefer to just focus on sound quality, I'll get into sound next, but I did want to highlight this because honestly, to me, the customization is the biggest selling point. Now, just to point out a couple things on the app before I move on, you have these settings here that shows affiliate link. There's a shop with some limited deals, but when you go into, there's the light, by the way. Again, I did the ripple effect, which basically the music starts from the center and goes out. Pulse is basically going from the bottom up, so when music's playing, it's kind of like a sound meter. Bright is fully lit. And breathe is basically just pulsing, or I shouldn't even say pulse because they use that. It's fading in and out, and then you can of course change your brightness to see how light or dark. Now the sound part was a little bit of a downer to me. So again, just being fully honest with my review, you don't get sound control. You get to enable or disable active noise cancellation and enable or disable transparency mode. So transparency is basically you hear the ambient noise around you, and it actually did a pretty decent job of doing that. The noise cancellation they claim is 20 to 25 decibel reduction in exterior volume. That's not full frequency. It does a better job in the mid-range, but not so much in the highs or the bass region. It's subtle and it's helpful, but it's not perfect. It's not class leading like you would get, you know, from something like Sony or Bose, for example. So unfortunately, no custom EQ. I can't change the way this sounds at all using the app. There's no features or EQ presets. You get what you get. And then this button here, this shows shell where you can preview it. Now I'm using an iPhone 14 Pro Max, and the shells aren't rendering on the app. So it's not a big deal to me. I can easily visualize or pick designs that I like on the website. It didn't really quite work on mine, but you know, depending on what phone you have, this may work, and that might be a cool way of previewing what your light effects look like. So now it's time to talk about sound quality. And to be honest, this was, I guess, the biggest letdown of the GPods. You can't fix the EQ. It's not a terrible EQ, but I think there are some people that will not like the way it sounds. It's certainly passable for everyday listening, but just to get right into it, this is not a bass emphasized TWS or earbud. The bass is relatively flat, actually, all the way down to 30 hertz. So it actually has pretty decent bass extension. It's just not boosted in any way. And for what most people typically prefer for IEMs or TWS earbuds or just sound in general, they typically like a little bit of a bass shelf in the lower frequencies. This is relatively flat and it sounds okay, but just don't expect that pounding bass if you're listening to like a dance or a hip hop song. So take that for what you will. There is a little bit of a dip at the 250 hertz mark, which does help provide some separation from bass until you get into the mid-range. It's not flat. Most things that I've measured, they have some kind of dip or spike somewhere to make them sound the way they do. I'll get into how this sounds on music, by the way. I'm just explaining the frequency response. And as far as the rest of it goes, so it basically, after that dip ends at 250 hertz, it picks back up. The mid-range starts relatively flat, but then it just keeps picking up until it hits 3000 hertz or 3 kilohertz, where it spikes, and then it kind of falls off from there. It starts to drop. There isn't really a carrying over effect in the upper mids to treble region, and then it stops producing anything above 13,000 hertz. I think it was like 13.1 kilohertz is where it stopped measuring. So what that translates to, I wanted to start with the objective stuff because some people just go by measurements alone. It doesn't have the same dynamics or punch that some other headphones or IEMs in this price range do. So if you're looking for the utmost sound quality, something from, let's say, Sony or One More will give you a little bit better clarity and overall dynamics to the sound. They're going to have more presence up top. What happens is because this rolls off in the upper treble, you may not find that string instruments, guitars, those types of things, they don't quite have the same level of detail or presence, if you will, up top. However, one advantage to this is if you listen to stuff that's fairly sibilant or something with a lot of cymbals crashing, very noisy, high treble recordings or instruments, this will dull that down a little bit. Overall, it's good for certain tracks. I find that some songs, not even genres themselves, but some songs can sound totally fine on this, and other tracks, they get a little bit held back. Like if you're listening to a song from A Perfect Circle or Tool, that style of rock music, these tend to not layer the sounds as well. So if you're concerned about, again, audio fidelity, this isn't their strong suit. I don't want to make this sound like a totally negative thing. Again, I'm trying to be honest. I think, again, with certain tracks, they're great. For things like a podcast, they're excellent because the bass isn't overly boosted on the voice and it's not overly sibilant or sharp. So if you're using this for going out and about and just some casual music listening, podcast, the news, things like that, you still get the whole creative expression thing with the lighting. They are extremely comfortable. I do want to emphasize that. These are one of my more comfortable earbuds that I own now. So I want to commend them on that. This isn't just, if someone says, what's the best sounding earbud from 100 to 200, I just wouldn't say it would be this. That's all. So I just, again, wanted to keep it fair. I hope you found this review and video helpful. It was a little bit of a different product, and I didn't want to get too far down in the weeds. It's not like I'm using this for gaming, things like that, even though the latency was relatively low thanks to the Bluetooth 5.2 and the codecs I'm using. But it was comfortable. The customization worked extremely well, and I had no issues pairing it with multiple devices. On that note, when you lift this up, just press and hold this little button down on the top of the shell, and doing so will put it in pairing mode. You'll see the lights basically fade up with green as it's pairing, and I was able to pair this to my MacBook or my iPhone very, very quickly every single time. So it did work really well. I found it comfortable. I found the audio passable, again, with some tracks, but I'm not going to use this for rock or heavy bass tracks like a hip hop song. But the customization was pretty freaking awesome, and it worked extremely well. I did that recording in one take, never had a problem with the app. So that's huge for something so new and innovative. Thank you so much for watching and for sticking it to the end of this review. If you found this helpful and you want to purchase these, I'll have links in the description below. There are some special pricing options that may affect the cost of the unit, so I will have details on that. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and with that being said, I'll see you next time.